Hey guys, how you doing? This is Benjamin with Benjamin Exotics, and in today's video, we're going to be answering the question that I got from a viewer asking what is the difference between dimming and pulse proportional on a thermostat. And we're also going to talk about on and off on a thermostat as well, and just basically go over all the different kinds of thermostats and all the different settings on thermostats to help you guys correctly pick which one will be right for you. So first of all, let's look at the most basic one and the cheapest one that you can get on the market today, which is the on and off thermostat. So right down here, we have just your basic, you can either use Zilla, or you've also got, what's the other one? Jumpstart thermostats. These are the two that I would really recommend if you're gonna go with something like this. And all these guys do is they turn the heat tape on. How do I explain this? So basically, see that red light right there? That means that it's putting power into the heat tape right now. And there's the cord, the heat tape is plugged into that, goes to your heating element, and it turns it on when it gets too cold, and then it turns it off when it gets too hot, within a certain range. Now, while these are not the most accurate, they are normally accurate within maybe 5 degrees, so it could go 2 degrees too cold and 2 degrees too hot than you want. So overall, these are pretty accurate, and as long as you're only housing maybe one snake with one of these thermostats, you should be good. I would never run a rack off one of these though. I've seen people that have done it very successfully, like Snakes on the Plains. You can go check those guys out, and a few other people online. But overall, these on-off thermostats, just turning the heat pad on when it gets, too cold, and turning it off when it gets too hot. Again, they work, but they vary a lot in the actual temperature gradient that you have. It's not really keeping things that consistent, which is not really what we want when we're talking about a whole rack, or especially if we're talking about for a incubator. So you never use this for an incubator, but you could get away with this if you're just heating one tub like we have being heated right here. And as you guys can see, it's set for about 90 something on there. I think it's set for 95, just around 95. We can come up and put this lid right here, and we can go ahead and just click so I can show you guys real quick. It's set for about 95, we're at about 90. So as you can see, the temperature does dip and vary a lot, and it'll get a little bit hotter in a little bit. I checked it about an hour ago and it was 93. So it really does have a variation in temperature, which is really why we don't want to use that for an incubator, or especially a rack where we want consistent temperatures. So the second type of thermostat, or setting of thermostat at least, because I know these herpstats change. The cool thing about the herpstat is, and I'm not being, sponsored or anything, of course, but I really love these herpstats, and the cool thing about these guys is that they actually change from dimming to pulse. You have two options with these guys, whereas with other brands, you really only have one option, and we'll go ahead and slide those guys out of the way. So, first of all, we'll talk about is pulse. Pulse is basically, it's kind of like, think about it, it's just like in the name, okay? With the pulse thermostats, it's instead of having a, on and off section basically, or an on and off setting where it just turns the power on and off, it sends out little pulses of energy. It's almost like pulsating. So if you have, your thermostat plugged in and it's on pulse setting, what it's doing is it's sending out little pulses of temperature that are either higher or lower, or little pulses of energy that are going to be able to heat up your thing. And while these do heat up racks quicker, overall, I personally don't find them to be as accurate, because the problem with your pulse is that it sends a pulse and then there's no energy. Pulse, no energy. And while it is accurate, you're still not going to be as accurate with the next setting that we'll talk about in a second. So, the third setting, which is my preferred setting or type of thermostat that you can use, is the dimming proportional thermostat or setting. And these herpstats also have the dimming, and as you guys can see, the dimming is much more accurate. And you can actually see, which is actually something pretty cool I can explain to you guys. If you look at any of your, what do you call these? The power, basically the power strips. See how the light goes on and off? That's how it would be with pulse, but it would be pulsating like this. It goes boojoo, 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 and it turns on and off a lot. With this one, it only turns off when the dimming part, when it gets over 95 degrees. And overall, if I was going to recommend one to you guys, I would probably recommend dimming, especially for your, incubators and stuff like that. Now, here's why I would recommend dimming, and there is something you have to know about dimming first before I say this, but with dimming proportional, it's sending out, instead of sending out little pulses like pulse proportional does, dimming kind of just it starts very low with putting out a very low amount of energy, okay? And it sees how long or what temperature the heat pad gets with that amount of energy. And then it slowly works its way up. It takes that amount of energy it's putting out or allowing through, and it slowly bumps it up, bumps it up, bumps it up until it finds just the right amount of energy or electricity that needs to go through the thermostat in order to get the correct temperatures on your settings. Now, I like this and I don't like this. I don't like it because sometimes it can literally take your racks like 3 days to first get to temperature when you're first plugging them in, because your thermostat's still trying to find that perfect kind of power, like amount of power or electricity it's putting through. And Pulse Proportional normally gets things up to the right temperature a lot quicker. So what I like to do when I get a new rack is actually turn the thermostat, if it's a Herpstat, onto Pulse, and then switch it over to dimming once the thermostat is kind of set. Now, with dimming, the other thing you have to know is that if you're using it for an incubator, you don't want to have it on full power, because like I said, dimming takes the amount of power and sometimes it overshoots it, and you don't ever want to overshooting it on the incubator. So if you set your incubator down to maybe 20 or 30% power, it'll take a lot longer for that power to get up to where it needs to be, but it's going to be way safer for your eggs, because you're not going to have a point where it gets too high and then has to drop back down. So overall, hope you guys did enjoy this video. I'll just kind of describe the different types of thermostats we've got, and hopefully you guys can make the correct choice for your snakes, so your snakes can have the best possible care and lives under your conditions. So, like I said, hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and of course if you like the channel, consider subscribing. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or any, Herpstat brands, or not Herpstat, any thermostat brands out there that you guys would like me to test out, or you guys recommend to anybody in the comment section down below, please leave it down in the comment section below. Thank you guys very much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.